What if the deadliest battle of a war wasn't against an enemy, but your own ship? It's July 29th, 1967. Far away from home, in the South China Sea, the giant aircraft carrier USS Forrestal floats under a heavy gray sky. The Vietnam War is raging, and on board, hundreds of young men prepare for another day of airstrikes. The deck hums with life, engines scream, jet fuel burns, and the smell of salt mixes with hot metal. Dozens of fighter jets, sleek, powerful A-4 Skyhawks, line up, ready for launch. Among them sits a 30-year-old pilot, Lieutenant Commander John McCain. He's calm, focused. Another day in the war, but destiny has a cruel way of turning ordinary mornings into nightmares. A crewman signals, engines spool up, the air trembles, then, in an instant, a rocket misfires. It's small, quick, almost invisible, but it's heading straight toward McCain's jet. Before anyone can shout, it slams into his Skyhawk's fuel tank. A spark, a flash, and then the deck becomes hell. Jet fuel floods the surface, bursting into a wave of fire. Flames shoot across the carrier, leaping from one plane to another. Within seconds, the world turns orange. Men shout, alarms scream, and explosions shake the sea. Fire on the flight deck. All hands, fire on the deck! The heat is unbearable. Sailors run with extinguishers, dragging hoses through burning fuel. Some never make it. Others keep going, knowing the bombs beneath them are heating fast. Can courage exist when death is only seconds away? McCain struggles to open his canopy, his aircraft melting around him. He pulls the ejection handle and shoots up into a storm of smoke. He lands on the deck, dazed, bruised, but alive. He looks back and sees his squadron burning. Nearby, a young ordnance man, just 19 years old, runs toward a burning bomb. He tries to cool it with foam, but the casing starts to glow red. He knows what that means. And still, he stays. The bomb explodes before he can take another breath. The blast rips through the deck. Hundreds of gallons of fuel erupt into a firestorm. Jet parts, metal shards, and human screams fill the air. The shockwave throws McCain backward as another Skyhawk detonates only a few meters away. For the men below deck, it's worse. Fuel pours into the hangars, igniting the maintenance bays. The corridors become tunnels of fire. Sailors crawl on hands and knees through the smoke, trying to reach trapped crewmen. "Help us!" echoes from behind sealed doors. But the heat is too much. What do you do when saving someone means burning alive yourself? Still, some go back. They always do. Because that's what sailors are trained to do. To fight the fire, not run from it. One group manages to reach a storage room full of live ordnance. They have minutes before it goes up. "Flood the magazines," one shouts. But the controls are fried. They start using buckets, literal buckets of water, to stop an inferno. Above deck, another explosion rips open the hull. A Skyhawk rolls off the side, disappearing into the sea. Others are barely recognizable. Twisted frames, blackened steel. Smoke covers the horizon. Rescue choppers circle overhead but can't land. It's chaos. But inside that chaos, heroes are born. A small group of men, their uniforms burned, their hands bleeding, keep the fire from reaching the lower decks. Their names won't make the headlines, but their actions save the ship. For 4 long hours, Forrestal burns like a floating volcano. Every few minutes, another bomb explodes. Each blast sends shockwaves across the carrier, and every man on board feels it in his bones. In war, sometimes the deadliest enemy wears your own uniform. By sunset, the flames begin to die. The deck is black. The smell of smoke and jet fuel clings to every surface. Bodies lie where they fell. Sailors move quietly, searching for anyone still breathing. John McCain, covered in soot and fuel, walks the deck in disbelief. He survived. but many of his friends didn't. 134 men dead, 161 wounded. The Forrestal, one of America's most advanced warships, reduced to twisted steel. And yet, even as the fire smolders, rescue crews continue their work through the night. They refuse to rest until the last man is accounted for. When the sun rises the next morning, the carrier is still afloat, damaged, scarred, but alive, just like her crew. In the days that follow, investigations begin. The Navy calls it an accident, a stray electrical surge that fired a missile. But for the men who were there, it wasn't just an accident. It was a lesson written in fire and blood. From that day forward, every American carrier changed. New safety rules, new fire training, new equipment to stop this from ever happening again. The Forrestal fire became a textbook, one that future generations of pilots would study in silence, knowing the price had already been paid. Sometimes history's greatest teachers are the ones who never made it home. Decades later, veterans who were there still remember the screams, the heat, the smoke. Some still smell the burning fuel when they close their eyes. But they also remember the bravery, the men who ran toward the flames, not away from them, because courage isn't always about fighting the enemy. Sometimes it's about fighting the impossible and not giving up, even when everything burns. So the next time you see a carrier sailing on calm seas, remember this. Every safety drill, every system, every warning sign on those decks exists because of the 134 souls who stood their ground on USS Forrestal. They didn't die in vain. They changed the way America fights, the way it flies, and the way it remembers. And that's how, on one morning in 1967, the sky itself turned to fire.